Hi fellow gardeners, welcome to Garden with Jenny. I'm Jenny. So I know that it's been a while since I've made a video. I didn't get a chance to make one last week. Well, this past Thursday because Sean had some oral surgery. He had teeth extracted and stuff. So I was preoccupied with making sure that I was taking good care of him. So I want to give you an update on the tomatoes that I transplanted. My future ideas for these little guys, as well as what I'm doing to water my succulents and my other small houseplants that are over by the window. So let me get you turned around and I'll show you what's going on over here in my veggie area. So, as you can see, just insanity. My tomatoes are gigantic. You can see that these are the ones I repotted last time. This guy needs a steak already. He was leaning, I turned him around because he was leaning in towards the light like this back guy. I don't have space for him underneath the light right now. So, anyways. So these tomatoes are getting really tall. These have been fertilized pretty well. The other stuff I need to refertilize again with my tomato tone that's in that bag. I also have succulent mix in there, but anyways, there's a bag of tomato tone there. That's my fertilizer. That has some calcium in it to try and decrease the chances of blossom end rot happening once the plants get big and start producing flowers and things. As you can see, my first leaves that emerged are starting to yellow out now. Eventually these will fall off the plant. This was a true leaf. I must have got him caught when I moved him or whatever. So that was not, this is its first pair of leaves, the feeding leaves, and then it gets the big guys afterwards. So those are my tomatoes and my peppers and my one thing of onions. I've got my other thing of onions back there. I'll show you this stuff in a second. So then down here, I planted some peas that are going to have to go outside. Now, wait till you see this. This is ridiculous. The roots are already through the peat pot. That's just ridiculous. Now, I'm disappointed because I don't have any sprouting at all yet on my zucchinis or my squash. And they usually do pretty well for me. They just haven't done anything yet. But I was kind of surprised at the... Oh, and here we go. Now this guy is starting to poke out through his peat pot. Those I'll be able to just put in a big pot once my dad gets here and my mom gets here. They're bringing me some gallon-sized pots because I'm doing everything in pots. I'm not putting anything in the ground. So I picked this guy up the other day just to see what his pot looked like for moisture. You can see the moisture line in there. And here it was. This big long root. So that made me laugh, and Sean was kind of giggling about it and stuff, too. So then in this salsa jar, that's what this is. I'm recycling my salsa jar. I'm growing some oregano. So there are my oregano sprouts, and I didn't realize that I used the stick that was drawn on, so hopefully, I have gnats because I'm keeping things a little damp over here. So I've got, and there's organic material in this potting mix. So because they're damp and I don't have a fan up above this area to kind of circulate the air, the fungus gnats are here feeding on my decomposing peat moss and stuff. And then in here, these are my flowers, and none of these have sprouted either yet. Wait, I lied. There's one right there. Finally. Oh, there's one too. They're so tiny. So those are actually petunias. And then the farther, so those two that have sprouted are petunias. Which, nope, that's not one. Oh, maybe it was, and I just killed it. Whoopsies. I wonder if I've got these planted too deep. I don't know. It says lightly press them in, and that's what I thought I did, but okay. So anyways, these back here are supposed to be 4 o'clock, and these up here, these 3 rows are petunias. So a couple have sprouted now, finally. Which makes me happy because I was getting concerned that they weren't going to sprout. So that's my setup. My dad is bringing me, I think, more yogurt cups if he has them. I don't like yogurt, so I won't have a supply of yogurt cups because I hate yogurt. But they are a good next transplant size from the 6-packs. I really think, my tomatoes have really, especially, they've really done well in those. And you can see that the tomato stem is starting to get pretty good size and all that. So next is over here, I'm experimenting with a few things. So I broke this leaf off of my African violet, and I am trying to see if I can get it to root in water. Now, I've heard people have success with this. I've heard most people do it in soil, but I wanted to try water rooting first, and I'm trying to root some succulent pieces here as well. And then there's more onions. These onions are looking good now. Little floppy, but they're looking pretty good. And then let's go over here. My house is a little messy because I've been taking care of Sean and working, so I've been trying to clean it up a little bit. So as you can see, look at the beautiful day outside. That nice forsythia we got going on there. If you look down here, there's peonies. That's what this reddish guy is. He's a peony. The iris have grown quite a bit. All the hostas are starting to poke out of the ground now. The hydrangeas are starting to bud out. This rose, there's a rose on this arbor. You can see a little bit, this little green stem here is starting to flush out now. So that's pretty exciting. Anyways, this is my houseplant window, which you've seen a lot. Now, earlier when I first bought this cyclamen, I was having problems with him sitting too wet. And what's nice is now that it's starting to warm up and the sun's getting brighter, not necessarily brighter, but there's more sun during the daytime now. He's starting to dry out a little bit quicker, which is good. Eventually, he will have to come off the windowsill because the rays from the sun during the summertime will be too harsh for most of these plants to be on the window. So I'll have to pull them off the window or out, away from near the windowsill to compensate for the intensity of the sun's rays coming through the window. Now, obviously, the window is going to diffuse the light some, so it's not as strong as it could have been. My phone is going off. Sean's texting me. I'm assuming it's him or it's my mom. So the sun's lights do get diffused a little bit through the glass, and they become a little weakened. But because this is primarily a southern window, this gets sun all day long, and it's going to be extremely hot during the summertime. I'm assuming, based on most southern windows, even though this living room stays rather cool when it gets up into the 70s. And we had a few 85-degree days the one weekend, and it was still pretty cool in here. It felt really nice. Anyways, I'm rambling. Sorry. So eventually, because of the intensity, these plants will have to get adjusted and things, and I'm working on it. I just haven't finished it yet. So my orchid, still in bloom. This is my Valentine's Day orchid still, and he's pushing out new roots that look good, and there's even some new root focus. There's even some new root tips in there, which is excellent to have some new root tips going into the medium instead of just outside of the pot as air roots. And then this is my orchid that I've had for a few years now that I bought from the place that I was working at. This is the leaf that was rather small the last time that I took this video. I think it was smaller than that. So now it's starting to get big and beautiful, and hopefully it'll continue to grow big like this one, because this is the way it should look. It should be big leaves, not these little dinky things that I had from the basement. And then let's move it in more. Now you can see it better. Now you can see the first root that I had growing here has now entered the sphagnum moss, and we have a second root right there entering the sphagnum moss. So he's clearly happy, and I think did I see one in this one? No. No. But the moss itself, the reason why the moss is green is I learned from another YouTuber that sphagnum moss, when it's in these clear pots and it's in a bright window, it will actually start to photosynthesize. So that's pretty cool. So I'm pretty sure that that's what that guy's doing, because I let this guy go crunchy dry. I mean, real dry. So that moss wants to be alive. So maybe we can start farming that. I don't know. Rambles. Okay. Now, you're going to say, ooh, something's missing. You're right, something is missing. I took my egg carton down that has my small plants in it because I'm watering them in a saucer, which I'll show you in a second. This is that Christmas cactus that I got from when my Aunt Vi passed away. I asked for it. It had a bud on it, and the bud had gotten to about this big. It was beautiful, and it looked like it was ready to pop, and then it fell off. And I'm super mad, because I wanted to see it. But after that bud fell off, that was on this piece here, I noticed that we now have a new segment. So even though I lost the flower bud, this segment has developed, and I will take it. I can't be too upset about the bud because it's developing a new segment. And by the looks of it, there's a new piece coming here. Now, I can't tell if that's a bud. I think that's going to be a new flower bud, but I could be wrong. It could be another segment, because that guy started out just like that one. So that's pretty exciting. My other orchids that I've had for quite a while, they are looking rather happy. There is a nice root tip. You can see that guy. There's some root death in here, probably from being crunched in the pot. But you can see there's other healthy, decent looking roots in here. And we've got a nice root tip. There's a root tip there growing, and then that fresh tip there. So this guy is going good, and this leaf is still pretty nice in size. So there's what he looks like. These old small leaves are from when they were in the basement, and now he's producing bigger, more beautiful leaves now that he's getting more light. So then this guy back here, I haven't pulled him out yet, so we may find something interesting with this guy. So he is big and beautiful as well. Look at that leaf. And hopefully this leaf gets as large. It's getting there. I may have to adjust him in this pot. A quick glance, you can see that I have some roots in here again that have died off, which I'm a little concerned with. Maybe I'm keeping him a little bit too wet. But as you can see, the moss is tan, not green like that one. Probably because he's not in the windowsill, he's down, sitting below it. But you can see there's still green roots down here, so he's moist. Hasn't put any new roots out yet up here, so we will see what he's doing. They'll probably get fertilized pretty soon, because I haven't fertilized them in a while. And they need to be. This guy I need to water, but I'm letting the other ones get hydrated first. Snake plant doesn't do anything, really, for me. But it does look like it's getting a new shoot in there. Do you see that? This nice leaf right in there. It's lighter in color, and that's a new growth. And I did not see that last time. That makes me pretty happy. I like seeing new growth on my plants because it means that I'm doing something semi-right. And then we've got that guy here. I've never actually inspected this guy because he's really slow growing. He does like nothing. Hey! Look at that! That's new! He's growing a little baby. That's pretty cool. And more babies in the joints where all the succulent leaves are. So, okay. Cool. He needs to get watered, but I'm not ready. And I'm trying to root some pieces down here as well. I'm just experimenting. I'm not perfect at this stuff, guys. Just experimenting. I know that succulent leaves are supposed to callus over. They callus over, then you can start rooting them. So that could be the problem I'm having here. My croton had lost a leaf, but I finally have some new growth coming out of the center tip. I have not had new growth on this guy in a while. So, I mean, like a long, long time. So that is cool that there's some new growth there. I threw out my coffee plant, guys. I threw it away because the mites were coming back, and what a headache, because the temperatures haven't been warm enough, and I don't want to keep spraying it in the bathtub because I don't want to rinse even though they're organic oils, I don't want to rinse them down the drain and potentially pollute the water supply. So I threw it away, and I'm going to buy a new one from work and hope to God the girls at work aren't killing them because I'm not in charge of them anymore. Anyways, my rant. You can see new growth on the crown of thorns. Just about all the tips now have some sort of green leafy stuff going on, and I need to get those old leaves off. Those old leaves have died because I think it had mites at one point. And I sprayed it with Mitex, and, well, I'm pretty sure the Mitex is what turned those leaves. So, lesson learned, don't use Mitex on a crown of thorns. Anyways, so my anthurium still has its one flower bug. Looks like maybe we'll get some new growth. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. There's a little guy. Look at that little baby. Got some roots, which are cool. He needs to be cleaned up pretty good. There's a leaf. That leaf doesn't look that happy, but we'll see. I have not watered him yet this week. He's moist right now, so he feels wet. He feels wet, so he's definitely not getting watered. But his saucer, the reason why he's sitting on the floor is because I'm using his saucer right now to water my my little guys. Now this one is done, so I'm gonna tap that off. So I think he might be a little pilea too, but so that one's done. My pilea is not done. So this is my setup. What I do is I put water in a clear plastic saucer high enough so that it covers the holes in the pots. Okay, and I let them slowly steep it in, because what I've found from watering at work is if I water from overhead, I usually rot the center of succulents and things because I don't know, the water just gets in the nooks and crannies, and the plants don't like that. So yeah, and I still have not cut this pilea down. I haven't nipped him in the bud, so to speak. Look at that. That's beautiful. Those are beautiful little leaves. This is actually a really beautiful plant. I'm actually kind of glad my parents bought that one. So I'm letting these get water. This guy's already watered up, so he's good. He can go back over here, and I'm going to substitute him out for this guy. And I'm usually watering these little ones maybe once a week, maybe. Not 100% sure, but I want to make sure that they completely get rehydrated. This guy's got cool leaves. He's got like this whitish colored tinge to him. New growth in there. New growth in the center of that guy. New growth in the center of that guy. And some new growth here. So, I'm still learning. Look at that. I have such a mess at this house. I feel bad for my husband. Still learning. Oh, you know what? I forgot about these. I moved the violet because I learned from another YouTuber that if the violet is getting too much light, what it will do is it will overproduce leaves, and then the bottom leaves will start to curl down like what mine are doing. Look at those blooms. It loves me. So I don't want, and then what'll happen is these won't get light and they'll die off. And I may pull some, but then the plant is going to get a neck again, and it already has a neck. And I need to reach out to a friend of mine to figure out what to do with the neck. In fact, I think I have the literature to do it, but I don't know if I don't know if I have the supplies. I definitely don't have violet soil, so I'm going to have to get violet soil. Because African violets need African violet soil, and cactus and succulents need cactus and succulent soil. They're soil specific. Whatever. And then here's my peace lily. 2 beautiful new leaves. And he's been moved away. Look at, he's leaning. Do you see the leaning? He's leaning towards the window. Because this is the way I had it. So he's actually leaning. I didn't notice that. So let's... a flower spike! Ooh, baby. That makes me happy. You guys are like, she's probably the weirdest person we've ever watched on YouTube. Yeah, probably. That's exciting. That's going to be beautiful. Anyways. Alright, let me get turned around here. So, that's too bright. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's the update. Work is going really well. I'm really enjoying the job. It's really a lot of heavy stuff for me to lift. For a man, it wouldn't be as big of an issue because you guys have muscles and you're stronger than us women physically. But it's hard on my back and stuff, but I'm doing the best I can. And I really love the job, so I can't complain about being sore after work when you love what you do. I learned how to drive a skid loader, a New Holland that has the joysticks and the foot pedals, and I've driven a John Deere one, and I loaded 31 yards worth of mulch and stone yesterday at work, which is pretty exciting. I was always afraid of driving those kind of machines, but now I'm like, ooh, babe, I love it. So, and I'm learning new stuff about trees and shrubs, getting accustomed to what we have at the nursery. We have this plant called a cherry laurel. It's in the Prunus genus, and it is beautiful. Chestnut Hill cherry laurel. And then there's another variety too. And it's beautiful and big, and they get kind of like, the flowers kind of remind me of lily of the valley almost, but they're not necessarily bell-shaped. They just are white like that and slightly fragrant. Really pretty. It's probably one of my favorite shrubs now. Anyways, so I'm dealing with like junipers and cedar and cherry trees, apple trees, pear trees, Zelkova. We have some pines and all that stuff. So I'm learning new things and pretty excited about that. So I'll give you an update next week. And until next time, stay green, folks.